also the author of the book, The Racial Muslim, Racism, Cautious, Religious Freedom. The Center for Security, Race, and Rights, also known as CSRR, is the only and first civil rights center at a U.S. law school focused on the civil and human rights of Muslims, Arabs, and South Asian communities. And for doing so, we are repeatedly attacked in the very same Islamophobic ways that we are here to discuss. Imagine if a center that is established to combat anti-Semitism is being attacked. That would be anti-Semitic. Since 2001, Islamophobia has caused substantial harm to millions of Muslim American civil rights. As CAIR civil rights reports show, Muslims have been subjected to hate crimes, bullying, harassment, doxing, and mosques have been vandalized and burnt down to the ground. Today, the most pervasive form of Islamophobia occurs on American college campuses, where Muslim, Arab, Palestinian, South Asian students are denied the equal right to exercise their free speech rights. They are punished for partaking in a proud American tradition, one that distinguishes our democracy from authoritarian states: the right to nonviolent protest to dissent against government policies. Indeed, an entire generation of Americans, college students, participated in thousands of protests in the 1970s to demand an end to their government's participation in the Vietnam War. Their historic anti-war movement, led by young Americans who are now in their 70s, is now the topic of numerous books about American democracy, free speech, and college political activism. The predominantly white middle-class college students of the 1970s are praised today as representing the best of American democracy: the freedom to dissent against government policies and practices without facing imprisonment, abuse, or deportation. Because in America, we teach our children and students to be free thinkers, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens on matters of public importance. That is how we preserve our democracy. But when American Muslim college students put into practice the lessons they learned in high school, they are met with hate, violence, and discrimination by university administrators, state elected officials, anti-Muslim special interest groups who guise themselves as combating anti-Semitism, when in fact their ultimate objective is to violate the civil rights of Muslim Americans.
Right.
When Muslim American college students across the country participate in a cross-racial anti-war movement to demand that their government stop funding to the tune of $20 million the Israeli military's genocidal campaign in Gaza, they are falsely accused of anti-Semitism and disciplined by university students. When Muslim American college students, alongside their Jewish, Hindu, Christian classmates, protest the killing of over 60,000 Palestinians in just 15 months, they are vilified as domestic security threats by Congress and state elected officials.
That's right.
So to deny Muslim American college students the same right to dissent, protest, and think critically as any other American college student is a form of Islamophobia. It harks back to the dark era in American history in the 1960s when Black civil rights activists and college students were beaten, imprisoned, and prosecuted for engaging in nonviolent protests against segregation. Today, Islamophobia animates the denials of Muslim, Palestinian, Arab, and South Asian students' right to exercise their free speech rights to protest a war in Gaza. The same war that the International Court of Justice is investigating as a genocide. So, despite ample evidence of the myriad harms caused to Muslim communities by Islamophobia for over 24 years since 9/11, there is no congressional or state legislative hearing acknowledging and condemning the pervasive presence of Islamophobia and the harm it causes to millions of Americans. This failure of elected officials and university administrators to be as concerned with bias and discrimination against Muslim Americans as they rightfully are concerned with anti-Semitism is itself evidence of the normalization of anti-Muslim violence. It is long overdue for policymakers, educators, and the American public to take seriously and actively combat the deeply entrenched false stereotypes that Muslims are terrorist supporters, presumptively anti-Semitic, disloyal, and of fifth column. One important step toward that end is to protect our college students, regardless of their religious identity or racial identity, that protect their equal right to dissent, think critically, and engage in non-violent political activism. So we call on New Jersey legislators to hold a hearing on the pervasiveness of Islamophobia on university campuses in New Jersey. Listen to the students. Listen to the faculty who have been harassed, who have been doxxed, who have been intimidated, who have been attacked for demands to be fired by external anti-Muslim groups. And these external anti-Muslim special interest groups are weaponizing anti-Semitism in a very perverse way by essentially trying to pit Jews against Muslims. When in fact, Jewish college students are active in the anti-war movement. They are leading the anti-war movement on college campuses.